what you want, and I find the right tab most of the time, and don't really care about how many.
So, from Portugal, tall desk these days, but we know him for a long time in the community with different other roles over the years. Thank you. Approaching also an interesting, as always, topic, SBCs, right?
Yeah.
You know, your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for the conference, for having me. My name is Nuno Reis. I came from Portugal, as Daniel introduced. Right now, I'm principal software engineer and architect at Talkdesk. I've been in this VoIP world for, I would say, the last almost 20 years. Did a lot of things with Kamailio in the past, with other projects such as FreeSwitch. So yeah, that has been my active space for a long time now. So today I'm bringing you a specific subject here, which is the SBCs. And you know, I'm sure that there are a lot of places today that still uses proprietary SBCs, I guess because of fear, mostly. We have to say this, right? And because leadership just wants to have that brand name there, again, because of fear. But if you actually have the knowledge on how to put something together, you can somehow simply create the logic you need for most of the things that you are getting out of these proprietary devices. And I will be talking about at least this layer, that's why that's highlighted there, on applying SIP manipulations at scale and how you can have something interesting and dynamic for doing this job. Okay, when we thought about this first, we have these goals. So we wanted to have a REST API endpoint to manage all the rules and actions. We already had a provision microservice for everything that we run on Kamailio, on the core side of things. And we just added another endpoint set to these provision microservice or microservices, so we could accomplish what we wanted. Then we wanted to leverage on caching mechanisms whenever possible because of performance reasons. We wanted to leverage on existing Kamailio RPC mechanisms, namely JSON RPC, to reload and update when needed. And we want to add a build capability to granularly apply per Kamailio runtime or cluster, because we have many running across different regions. So Talkdesk runs purely in the cloud. So we have many regions in AWS where we have our runtimes, and we need to apply whenever necessary. Okay, so most of the talk here will be on the dialplan module from Kamailio. This is a very old module, but pretty interesting, and you can do many things with it. I basically put here some of the documentation that is also there in the documentation page for the module. But basically, you can you can implement generic translation based on matching, and you can match against pseudo variables or the request URI, which is the default, and add some kind of output of that based on whatever you need. So when the module basically loads with Kamailio, it loads everything for memory from the database. Everything, all the rules and dial plans are put together in memory, so it's very highly performant. And from there, you can basically do almost anything. You just have to be, I guess, ingenious on how to do it. Okay, so the dial plan in action. We put together these DB schemas, these tables, And basically, the first one, these dial plan rules, is where we are setting every rule that we will need. And the other one is the default one for the dial plan module itself. But the two play together here. And this is the basically dump of the schemas. We will get into more detail in a bit. We also created a view for mapping to an htable, where we can have everything in this htable and propagate it with DMQ, etc., with all possible runtimes we have, if we want to do that. Okay, and after that, it's just using this mod parameter to load the htable, mapping this view, and that's it. Okay, now, we also created some user-defined types. So the database backend here is Postgres, but I guess you can use anything similar. And we decided to create these user-defined types because it gets easier for people that are creating logic in the upper layers that don't know much about SIP, what they can select or pre-select out of the box. So we decided to create these user-defined types for accomplish that. And we created this structure here. So we have this dial plan SIP route, which just defines a route. And a route on our terms is where we want to apply the rules on the Kamailio CFG. And there's several places that are mostly interesting to have these rules available to be applied. We call them internal, the dialog, inbound, outbound. There are others here. For the sake of simplicity, I removed some, but there are others, and you can extend these as much as you can, as you want. Then we also define the SIP request type, which is, are we on the request path or the reply path? And you just say that when defining the rule. SIP methods, obviously, you want to say, I want to apply this rule on the request route on an invite message, and all the other messages are available too. And then the condition key, and the condition key is, again, a set of things that make sense for us but are easily extended. And we can apply this condition key to be a carrier, a CPAS, a UC, or a request URI. And there are many different forms that apply to these condition keys, and we will be seeing those in a minute. Okay, Kamailio, I hope it can read. Sorry, it's a little small, but it was hard to condense most of the interesting stuff here, but I guess it's readable. So this is a route where we are basically doing a switch, and we are then doing a case to tell which is the condition key that we are seeing, and then based on that, we will be applying or we will be setting a variable with a dial plan corresponding to the rule that matches the htable definition that we see there. That in this case, this shared table dial plan dash vn dial plan route would be something like outbound colon CPAS ID. If that matches, I will be executing this other route dial plan execute. And the same for every possible combination that you read here. We have a pretty good amount of options that mostly do everything we need, but this is, again, custom and can be extended even more. And on the right side, there's a small snippet of what we actually set in the other places in Kamailio configuration where we want to apply the dial plan. So we basically set that VM dial plan route telling if it's an outbound, let's say the last one, the outbound, is on our ship out logic. Before we send things out, we just do this and call the route dial plan. And if there is something loaded in the hash table to be applied and then to do some sort of manipulation, well, it will be applied. Okay, the dial plan executes itself. So this is where the things get a little more interesting because here we are using other modules like the JSON module, where we basically are picking up a JSON structure where all the rules are set to the manipulations that we are wanting to apply. And basically, we here start creating a cycle where we are iterating through all the possible functions that we want to apply to a specific rule, and then we basically apply that dial plan translate there that will call the necessary manipulation that we need. We are setting several options to actually trigger this based on setting request user, request host, from user, from host, from display, etc. You can use the header name if you want to, it will work as well. And then we call that dial plan attributes there that will apply even more logic here. In this case, these dial plan attributes will iterate over again and will then start calling things from the textops module and the sdpops module. Normal functions that you get out of the box when you read the documentation of the modules. We basically apply the same logic as if you did this in a hard code way, but it's dynamic, and you basically can apply this with the rules that you set yourself. Okay, some provision examples of this. Okay, this dial plan rules structure is basically like we see here. So we tell basically which route we want to apply, is it a request or a reply, which methods, the condition key that we want, and then this condition value, of course, and the rules. And the rules that match it, so this rec user equals something is basically this part here on the dial plan execute that will trigger this dial plan translate function. And that's what is being set here. More on this in a bit. This other part down here is the actual dial plan, and the attributes as this JSON format that I talked about, where you can specify something like functions, the function that you want, or as many as you need, because this is actually a JSON array, and the arguments that will be used by the function. And this is very in line with the default function signature that you get from the documentation as if you were applying it in an hard code way. So, some demo. Let's get to to the example first here. So, in this case, I will be showing a manipulation being applied on an outbound request for a SIP invite, where the from URI is matching this source IP source port, and I want to apply this rule 98 and rule 15 based on the request user trigger. What this means is that going down here, I'm matching, so I'm basically using dial plan matching regular expressions. The module also works with string matching, etc. But regular expressions works great for the end goal that we wanted. So regular expressions is used here. And basically, I'm telling that I want to match everything on the request user part, and I don't care about the result. In this case, I just want to reapply exactly what I was getting on the request user part. And then what I'm interested on is on the functions on this attributes column. And it's here that I want to apply a lot of stuff. So I want to basically remove some headers in this case, and I want to replace some strings in the body as well for this first one, for the 15. And for this 98, I'm actually doing a more strict matching against a specific request user number, and also applying functions here. In this case, I will be removing the media part of the STP corresponding to a video offer, and will force some specific codecs as well. And I will be appending this Kamailio world header to the message. So this is what's being done here. And the result is what you see here. I hope it's readable. It's more or less readable. So the left side was the original invite without any manipulations applied. So we see that the STP is quite big. It has audio and a video offer, and has some specific headers here that the right version is stripping out based on those rules. And on the STP part, we are stripping out as well the video, and we are replacing that free switch string over there with this XCC instead. So this is just an example. And the Kamailio world header is being added here. So it's something that you can easily do by using this logic. Okay, I guess I can still show you this in real action. This is a free switch runtime that I have here, where I will be originating the call. And here is where Kamailio is running. Okay. Let's see if the call comes out. It did. Now if we go to this side. Okay. We can see the offer here on the STP with the video and the audio part, with this XFS support header, which is something from FreeSwitch, the user agent as well. And when Kamailio applies the manipulation logic, you get the other version where the STP is being changed, and the user agent was stripped off. That X header support something from FreeSwitch was stripped off as well, and this Kamailio world header was added. So yeah, this is an example on how to use this. Okay, that's it. Thank you, and I'm open to some questions.
Thank you, Nuno. Thank you. Those snippets don't fit to this challenge because they were too big, so don't think about using it then next year. Okay, so Victor, just is here to prepare to come in front till we have the questions here.
Yes, related to this rule set, do we have any grammar, some API or anything, or we can, regarding the JSON object that we store, is there any?
It's up to you to define the grammar and the format. So this is purely custom. We decided that this JSON object format would be a good fit for this because we can easily create a bunch of structured functions that we want to apply in a row. And we basically came to this decision of making this structure of our own. So we didn't follow any rules. I don't know. I really don't know if there is any standard for this. But it was pretty easy to put up as such, just by taking advantage of JSON for processing all this, and then it's just normal logic.
And this JSON can be from DB or can be from REST API or other?
Yeah,
places?
so we are fitting. So the idea was to fit this over REST API, stored in the database, and from the database it is then loaded to dialplan and to htables. And then just by using RPC mechanisms, we just reload or basically tell which runtimes we want to update based on the things that we are putting in. That's it.
Or even the Kamailio can pull it via HTTP request, this JSON object.
It's not needed. It could do that. It could do that, but yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nuno. Not to prolong
Okay.
it. If people have questions, will
Thank
be
you.
the coffee break after the next session.